Yeah, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Art Lexcia podcast. This is with Wesley Pepper. This is episode 207. And yeah, welcome to everybody. If you're new to the site, new to this platform, you haven't already, I would appreciate you subscribe. Just before I get to today's guest. The beta testing, we actually sort of wrapping up. We actually found those last few bugs. Actually busy working on it as we speak. Yesterday we were actually doing some work on the user app, and that's looking fine. These things got small problems, and my team is a bit all over the show. But I was thinking I might actually do an episode solely on that towards end of the month or early in December. And I should have some more concrete, stuff by then. So look forward to that. And and if there's anything new, I'll be posting it on my various social media pages. But today we're talking to David Mann, a friend of the show. He's been here before. We spoke about his book the last time. Actually, I'll ask him about that maybe towards the end. But he'll be talking about the Less Good Idea, season 11, which starts from the 26th of this month, which is November, to the 30th, from the 26th of November, so the 4-day gig. So let's get into it. Firstly, David, my brother, good morning. Welcome, and how are you doing?
Good morning, Wesley. I'm very well, thank you. It's great to be back. It's great to be back.
Yeah, man, it's good to have you here, man. Like I said, I'll ask you about your book, but it's more towards the end because I've seen there's been some
Sure.
award nominations, and congratulations to that.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, we'll sort of touch that more towards more the end. Otherwise, I'm gonna get kind of lost. And we've got quite a bit to cover here, man.
Yeah.
I almost said season for Less Good Idea. The Center for Less Good Idea. Season 11 starting on the 26th of November, which is in a few weeks' time. Let's just start at the beginning. Can you just explain to my audience first and foremost what or who is the Center for the Center for Less Good Idea, what you guys do, and then just explain season 11, and we'll unpack everything bit by bit.
Sure. So it really is a bit of a tongue twister, the name.
Yeah,
It's
it
one
is.
of those names that's designed to make people sort of stop and think, like, did I hear that correctly? A bit of a backstory on that. We're big fans of the writer and translator Saul Plaatje. He put out a book of Setswana translations, Setswana proverbs translated into English. One of them being, if the good doctor can't cure you, find the less good doctor, which is where we
Okay.
kind of take our name from. The
Okay.
thinking there being, if that first idea is not working out as planned, pursue the less good idea. And that's very much been our sort of founding, grounding philosophy since we started. In 2016, we were co-founded by the South African artists William Kentridge and Bronwyn Lace, and we're based in Maboneng. And very much from the beginning, this has been our way of working, is we believe that artists, writers, makers have these brilliant, big, great ideas. And then something very, very interesting happens when that big idea, that first good idea, is tested. It appears on the page or the stage or the workshop floor, and it doesn't materialize as it is in your mind, of course, because there's certain
Yeah, man.
limitations that you come up against, or there's certain ways of working that just demand or require something different of you. And that process of changing the idea to kind of suit what is required of it is what we're very interested in. And it's something that we pursue as a collective of artists and makers, and as individual practitioners. My role at the Center for the Less Good Idea is I call myself the process writer, and I'm head of communications. The communications bit is pretty straightforward. That's your kind of communicating what we do here to a broader public. The process writer bit is the real fun stuff. I get to sit in the room and observe that making that I described earlier, that decision, that kind of less good idea process. I observe that process, and then I write about it in a kind of way that
Yeah.
archives it and documents it and contextualizes it. and that lives on our website and other platforms and publications. But it's about, we're interested in documenting process as well, and I'm one
Yeah.
part of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Very similar to the. No, continue.
No, I was just gonna say, I can go on to season 11 if you want, but
Yeah, please.
yeah,
Yeah. Let's start off with it. Yeah, let's move on to that.
sure. So, as you said, 26th to the 30th of November is season 11. Since we started in 2016, the model was always one of 2 seasons a year, a season being a kind of 3 to 5 day festival of one-off performances, of performance. Sorry, I'm just going to. Sorry. So since 2016, the model being 2 seasons a year, and a season being a kind of workshopped 3 to 5 days of theatre, performance, conversations, public activations, that sort of thing. As we've grown, we've shifted that model slightly. The last year, for example, we didn't have a season at all, and we focused rather on 3 separate kind of performance moments that are making a reappearance in season 11. But we're very excited now this November to return to that season model, and it's a huge one. It's 5 days of visual art, public performance, conversations, experimental theatre, and also theatre that comes out of a training program with kind of young practitioners. So there's a lot going on, and we're very excited about
There's
it.
quite a for sure. Thanks for that, man. Yeah, there's a lot of artists you guys are featuring. Also, but before we actually get to the sort of the installations and the plays and so forth, I know a lot of the inspiration behind the work is also derived from the inner city. And can you just sort of explain that, because you said you talk a lot about the process, or you at least involved in sort of the processes behind conceptualizing some of the work. Can you just give us like an overview of all of that? So what are the artworks touching on, the themes and so forth?
Sure. So I mean, we're based in Maboneng, which is kind of on the fringes of the Johannesburg CBD. It's a kind of essential, vital site for us. We draw a lot of our energy from the inner city, but we're also interested in a kind of porousness that happens. I mean, there's a practical component to that. Our main space, we often, if you've ever been to the center, you would have heard before. You're sitting in the middle of a performance, and you'll hear the cars passing by
Mm.
on the M1. So there's a kind of bleeding in of the city, and out of the center into the city. And we're interested in that relationship. So there's one component of season 11 is something we're reprising from last year. It's called The Unexpected City. It's programmed by Neo Muyanga, who is our curator of season 11 as well. And The Unexpected City took the form of sketch theatre, which is a very South African style of theatre. It's kind of quick, pacey, punchy, drawn from, I guess, the language and the instances of everyday life in South Africa. And we said, what is it to write the city in that way? We have this view of Johannesburg collectively, as a city that is always somehow simultaneously in a state of collapse and disrepair, but also emergence. It's always on the cusp or the precipice of something,
Of
catastrophe or
something,
great
yeah,
and
yeah,
improvement. Yeah, which is
yeah.
a really interesting generative space to be in. So yeah, we asked ourselves the question: what is it to make a series of sketch theatre works based out of those narratives of the city, around the city, and came out with some extraordinary stuff. Some very fun, punchy, playful sketches, and some quite weighty ones that really tell a kind of nuanced story
Mm.
of Johannesburg.
Yeah, just an interesting point. You mentioned like the sounds of the M1 sort of cars and so forth. while you're working there, you sort of hear that. That's actually quite an interesting. How can I put it to you? That's quite an interesting space. To being also very unique to Joburg. You also hear, the walkers and so forth. There's that very clunky sound, that metal sounds. And the tires also has a very specific sound. Um, yeah. Anyway, I don't want to. Let me rather bring it. I want to branch out a little bit on that. Um, there's also a visual art component to the season, correct? Yeah,
There
can you just
is.
explain?
That's
Is the theme consistent for both theater and visual art?
so it's an experiment and one that we're very excited about. As I mentioned, season 11 is this combination of kind of reprising works from the past year or so, past 2 years really. And then we're looking at brand new programming. Sorry. Sorry, Wes. We're in the
It's
thick
all
of
good.
building towards seasons. So every
It's
space
all
is
good.
alive with making.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, there's reprising work from the last year, and then there's brand new programming, and this kind of visual art component is brand new. We're calling it moving the mark. The idea there is a simple one, but a kind of quite generative one. It's bringing prominent visual artists, being William Kentridge, Penny Siopis, Mary Sibande, Nandipa Ntambo, and pairing them with prominent dancers and choreographers, Chanel Winlock-Paleman, Vincent Panswe, who else? Yeah, there's lots. There's many
Yeah,
moving people. I can't speak to all of them. But
yeah,
yeah, again, a central question there being what happens when these two people encounter one another's practices and ways of working? What happens when a dancer must respond to a mark by a visual artist, or a visual artist needs to sort of choreograph their mark making according to a dancer? And some really gorgeous visual performative moments have come out of those tests that we've done so far. But I think, it also, that kind of methodology speaks to one that runs through season 11 as well, which is something that Neo Muyanga speaks to often, is that we're interested in what it means to become an ensemble, to become a
Mhm.
collective. And that's as performers, but it's also as audience members, and it's as people who are citizens and participants of a city like Johannesburg. Uh, there's a kind of call and response that happens in a city like Johannesburg, and there's a kind of collective way of living, even though we are located here in South Africa, which is still such a divided nation, socially, culturally. In all of that, there are also these ways of living alongside one another that are necessitated by spaces and cities like Johannesburg. And we're interested in exploring that, and I think replicating that in our performative programs as well.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. So let's actually get into the actual art itself. We can start off with I know there's a lot of installations going to be taking place. So I mean, as we mentioned, there's quite a few artists going to be featured here. So I mean, we don't have to highlight every single one of them. But I know with installations, public installations, the public, the key part to it is public. Obviously, it's outdoors. There's obviously the ideas for the public to interact with it. So just give us like an overview of some of the, or rather some highlights of some of the work.
Sure. So that's a program called Sight Light Action,
Yeah,
um, curated by the visual artist Marcus Neustädter. He's a South African artist currently based
yeah,
in Vienna. He's worked with the center before, and for me, it's really, really exciting to have Marcus curate this program of public activations, installations, and performances, because Marcus, I mean, those who were around, I guess, from the 2000s, 2010 period, Marcus was hugely active in a lot of the kind of public art that we see in
Yeah,
Johannesburg
I
today.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah, he was with the Trinity Session with Stephen Hobbs, Catherine
Mm.
Smith. So he's been doing that kind of thinking for a very long time. And it's exciting to see it happen in such a concentrated way now in Maboneng.
Yeah.
But to give an idea, I mean, these will be activations that happen every day except the Sunday of the season. And they're free to the public. But also, if you
Yeah.
are coming to the center to watch something else and you have a ticket, that ticket includes those public activations. So if you're coming to see Moving the Mark on Wednesday evening, it will kick off with that kind of light installation or whatever it is that's happening on that day. So we folded it into every performance and every part of the programming of the season. Marcus has curated everything into a series of acts, or activations rather. But it's merging his work as a kind of a sort of installation-based artist, a drawer, a mark maker, a person who works with light. So there's a lot of light drawings that'll be happening, a lot of projected sort of light installations that activate the architecture and the spaces of downtown Johannesburg. Together with the center's photographer, Zivanai Matangi, who I think you also know, Wesley.
Yeah.
He's printing out a series of new light drawings, long exposure light drawing made at night here in the city. And then there's also some other interesting work as part of that program. You know, those familiar with Fox Street will know the little shops in and around
Yeah.
Arts on Main, one of them being Home of the Bean, the little coffee shop there. And we're going to have live musical performances inside that coffee shop, where the audience is on Fox Street looking in, and speakers are kind of carrying that sound and that activity happening inside the coffee shop outwards. So it's about getting artists and, importantly, I think, audiences into the city in different ways and to activate the city in different ways.
Okay, so I have to make there's maybe just one follow-up question, maybe two, on the installations. Given that it's in the public space, are you guys interested in like just the working class person just walking past or driving past, maybe pulling over the car and coming to view what is happening? Is there sort of an encouragement in terms of the center to encourage that type of interaction? Because as you say, you guys, and I want to get to the tickets and all that stuff, but we'll do that more towards the end. Because you buy a ticket, you can there's the actual physical center itself where events are taking place there. But yeah, man. And once you do something outdoors, you're not always really in control of who's coming and going, especially in the city. There's always a rogue element here and there and so forth. Are you guys encouraging that type of interaction?
Yeah, I mean, this is the hope, we kind of understand that perhaps an evening at the theater is not appealing to everybody, right? But art is a kind of universal appeal. It's a universal language. It's something that everybody needs and should have access to, right? So whereas previously, all the way from back in 2016, 2017, with our first season, where we've had public processions around Maboneng, merging performance art and live brass bands, sort of trying to fold the public back in and sort of saying, come join us as we kind of have this procession through the streets. It's always been something that we've tried to do in all of our big moments, and this is this kind of season's iteration of that. So a lot of it is programmed to be activated on Fox Street and Berea Street, that sort of borders Arts on Main, where we're based. And the idea is that we draw on that foot traffic that happens on Fox, that carries through Jewel City upwards into Town. And yeah, if people are just going down to the shops, coming back from work, they can stop off, they can listen to a performance, they can watch a light installation. And then it's up to them if they want to come in and see more, or if they just want to carry on with their evening after that.
This is something I'm actually personally invested in, man. Just a follow-up question on that. A very brief thing. Do you guys monitor any of that? And if so, man, is there do you see the average guy actually coming back? Uh, maybe calling somebody, or do they just stand? Let's just say 5 or 6 minutes and then leave. Maybe they're not sure how to interact. Maybe they're not sure how to. Maybe they don't understand what's really going on. Are you guys interested in that sort of social science of the whole of public installations?
Yeah, definitely. It's a difficult thing to monitor in that sense, in
Mm,
terms of numbers and
mm,
statistics, but we document everything. We have videographers,
mm, mm,
photographers,
mm, mm, mm. Yeah, yeah,
writers, and sound
that's kind of
designers.
what I'm
So
asking on. Yeah,
yeah, so we'll work to document those moments. And I mean, gorgeous moments come out of that, right?
yeah,
Somebody will be
mm,
walking home, they're fully involved in that activity of getting home or getting to work, and they're sort of their head
mm,
is down or they're on their phone, and then they see something that's totally out of the ordinary. It kind of disrupts the structure of the average day entirely. And then suddenly they're watching a performance, and I guess the initial reaction or response is always one of sort of people are quite perplexed or they're taken aback,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
there's lingering. People will stop their journey or what they're doing to just watch. Phones always come out, which is great.
yeah,
People are wanting to
yeah,
record or document, and then you imagine they sort of go home and share this with friends and things like that.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
Yeah. As I said, that's something I'm personally actually invested on. I think let me someone ask this before I forget. Is there a hashtag that you guys are using during season 11 that you're encouraging all the guests to use?
It's always just the same. Hashtag less good idea. Hashtag season, whatever it is. In this case, hashtag season 11.
Yeah, man. Okay, and also just for my other viewers, I'll also be adding all of that information in the description box. There's also a lot of plays that you guys are featuring, and there's also before a lot of guests that you're inviting. As I said, there's quite a long ass list of all of that, and actually, I want to make a follow up question on that as well. But let's just highlight some of the plays that you'll be featuring.
Sure. So I'm going to start with those smaller programs, one of them being
Yeah,
Unexpected City, which I spoke about earlier.
yeah,
Those are those short sketch-based performances about the city. Alongside that is something called Sounding Pictures. That's where we've brought filmmakers to propose short silent films that we project in the room, and then we have an ensemble of musicians and performers who are watching this film and making sense of it live and in a collaborative, collective manner. So they are essentially providing a live score to what we're watching, and that also has its own kind of very generative outcomes. And then, in a similar vein, we have visual radio plays. So that's those kind of old-timey radio shows that you would have heard on the radio growing up, where there's voice actors reading from a script, and then what you would have is your Foley, so the people making the sound of what you're hearing. If it's a horse,
yeah.
it's,
Yeah,
two
yeah,
halved out
that's a lot
coconuts
of
going.
fun. Yeah, that's a lot of
It's
fun.
very fun.
Yeah, very
So
creative,
what
a lot
we've
of
done
fun.
is put all of that, totally. We've put all of that on the stage. So you
Mm,
see performers reading around a central mic from a shared script, and then we've staged that Foley, that live sound making on stage. So you get to watch how all of those sound effects are being made. Alongside that as well is a program called So From Script to Stage. The So Academy is our kind of educative mentorship based arm of the Center for the Less Good Idea. We bring a lot of young emerging theatre makers through programs through the Academy. And this year there was an interlinked, interrelated workshop series aimed at addressing the fundamentals of theatre making. So we did a writing workshop, a directing workshop, a lighting workshop, and a staging workshop. And new scripts were written, directors were called in, they shaped the work, and now the result of that is 3 new plays that will form part of season 11. They're brand new works of theatre, and we're very excited about sharing those. And then our guest performances, as you said, we have quite a few. Vincent Manswe, who is a South African dancer choreographer of great acclaim, based, I think, these days permanently in France, but we're very excited to have him back to bring a solo work. And then Chanel Winlock-Paleman, another one of our great choreographers, has incubated a work here. So it's a brand new work that she's going to be debuting at season 11. That'll form part of a double bill. And then we have Malika Taneja, performance artist and performer from New Delhi, India, who's bringing her solo work, Be Careful, also to season 11. So yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. It is a lot, and that's sort of the follow-up question, because I mean, to compress all of that into 4 days,
I've,
is it
I've
overwhelming?
lost you again.
Can you hear me now?
It's getting a bit better. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, man. That's again, that's the network, man. Unfortunately,
No stress.
yeah, the cool thing about this app is that it sort of renders everything. It smooths the entire production out. So all these little breaks and so forth will be all smoothed out. That's actually why I prefer it. Anyway,
Amazing.
and we're also getting to the back end of the recording. And this is something like I mentioned, man. You guys, I mean, 4 days. There's a lot of guests. There's a lot of shows. I mean, there's public art on the outside. Can you just give us how do you compress all of that into 3 days? So like, when does it start? And when does it end? And can you just give us like how does everything flow together?
Sure. Yeah, it's been one of our more ambitious programs. So it's been a lot to put together and fit into 5 days. But essentially, everything you'll see is once off. So if you miss it, you miss it. It does all live on and have a kind of life on our website. But if you're wanting to catch it live, which is always best, you have the one night to do that. So that's how we've programmed everything across from Wednesday to Sunday. And then Saturday and Sunday are our longer days. You kind of have your afternoon programming into the evening. And then also on those 2 days, the Saturday and the Sunday, we're partnering again with Narrowby Collective, who are going to have their party and market in the Arts on Main Courtyard. So that's DJs, poets, stalls selling art, food, all of that stuff. Just a good place to hang out, be in the city with other people. So yeah, it's a packed program, but it's bespoke. Like I say, if you miss it, you miss it.
There's 2 questions I want to ask on that. Just give me a second here. Oops. Network problems. Hey man, once I'm done with this app, I'm swear I'm gonna build. I'm gonna sit and work on our own network. These networks are horrible. Like they I don't think they're very friendly. They're not very friendly to the creative community. Almost lost track of. Oh yes, the ticket prices and so forth. So how does that work? Where do you buy your tickets? Is the tickets available at the door? Yeah, just explain that process to me.
There'll be tickets available at the door. They always are. But they're selling out really quickly, especially I'm looking now at certain programs like Moving the Mark. That's our visual artists and dancers. Those are almost sold out already. Those are our first 2 nights.
That's good.
So it's very good. Best to head to www.lessgoodidea.com and you'll land straight on our bookings page for season 11. We've got our full program there, and you can book for each night. So it's best to book that way through our website. It's very easy. You just pay online or you pay via SnapScan. But we will also have tickets at the door. The idea is that if you're coming for those public activations or something like that, that you see what else is happening and you stay and book for a show or two. And yeah, our pricing system's pretty easy as well. It's 150 for pretty much everything.
Yeah. Can you buy a ticket for the entire 5 days?
You can. We're selling season tickets. Those are going for 1,000, and it's for everything, which is a lot. So for the diehard center fans who are coming to see absolutely everything, that would be the ticket to get. You'll be saving quite a lot there.
And like with theater, there's a lot of theater does a lot of block bookings. Do you guys is that also available? If there's schools or community groups and so forth?
Yeah, you can actually. You can email popart@gmail.com. So that's Hayley Evans from Pop Art who's handling all of our front of house and ticketing. So her website's her email rather is on that tickets page. You can reach out to her for
Yeah,
block booking.
yeah. And I'll also add again all of that details in the description box. I asked you earlier on about the hashtags, and I think that's also kind of important so that stuff can exist in a digital space. I'll also add all of that over there. Sort of in wrapping up, David, and I have to congratulations on your nomination on the SA Literary Award.
Thank you.
Yeah. When does when is the announcement? When do you guys know who won?
Tomorrow, the 11th of November.
Okay.
It's ceremony at Roodepoort Theatre. So I'll go through tomorrow evening and we'll find out. Obviously, it would be incredible to win. It would be such an honor. But I mean, equally so, just to be shortlisted is such a feather in the hat. You know, it's like I'm really, really honored to just be there alongside those other short story writers to begin with.
I had a look at the list. It's quite an interesting list. No, many congrats to that, man. And just to my listeners, I interviewed David on that. I think it was 2 years ago. So I think I should actually add that episode also in the description box if you don't know what the nomination is for. Yeah, man. I hope you win. It'll be good to say that that I feature award-winning writers and so forth on this platform. I think it does very well. Your win is my win. That's how I kind of see it.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, man. So many congrats on that, man. Yeah, can we just end up with all the social media handle pages, social media pages, websites, and so forth? If people want to get more information on the Center of Less Good Idea, where do they find that information?
Sure. So we're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, all as @LessGoodIdea. It's simple, straightforward, @LessGoodIdea.
Simple and straightforward. Yeah, this is sort of a last question on the, and I'm very interested in to know this. So you say TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. Yeah, I think I also follow you guys on YouTube. Is there any of these pages that get more interaction? That you guys get more, interaction than others? For example, is Twitter more popular than YouTube or Facebook or so forth? Are you privy to that information?
Yeah, I'm heading most of that up actually. We're early days on TikTok, but yeah, it's interesting how all of our short form video content just skyrockets there, and it has a really young audience there. An audience is not necessarily a theater or an art audience, and who also hasn't necessarily heard of the center before. So we get so much new engagement through TikTok, which I find really interesting. And people who are really resonating with what we're doing. The comment section is always full of questions like, where are you guys? How can I attend? So that's great. And then Facebook and Instagram, those sort of meta platforms. We've just been on those for ages. We have a really established kind of audience base there. And we're starting. I mean, a lot of our short form video content's doing really well there. We recently just had our first reel hit 1 million views, which is quite a thing. So
okay,
yeah.
that is something. Man, just a follow-up question on that, man. Is there a way that you guys are exploring those short form videos? Given that, and just for some perspective, I mean that is the way I wouldn't say society, but at least social media is moving. I'm into. That's something I can also talk on. Like longer form is for the I guess the fan, or someone who's really invested in the arts. But those shorter form, firstly, they the potential to go viral is also much quicker, and it's also the opportunity to create a new audience, which could potentially also be another income stream. Is that something you guys are looking at, or is you just taking it day by day?
We try to keep our platforms pretty organic. We're fortunate to not be in the position where we need, I think, to monetize our social platform. So it really is a platform to communicate and share what we're doing with the world.
Yeah, so it's more for communication.
Totally. And I guess the idea is always also to draw people back to, firstly, the center physically, but then also for those who are based elsewhere in the world or elsewhere in the country, to direct them to our website and our YouTube, where all of our performances in full are kind of recorded with really good quality visuals, sound, and then kind of reflective writing, contextual writing as well. And that all lives on our YouTube and our website. So the short form on social media is always a way to say this is what happened in like a minute 30. If you want to see more, head over that way, and then you can watch. You can see the whole thing.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's also something I'm personally invested in, and I think that's something that is definitely worth exploring. Not necessarily always just to monetize, but also to grow and to expand to new markets, which is again something I'm personally invested in. David, man, thanks a lot for coming through, my brother, man. You said a lot of stuff, a lot of features, a lot of artists, people from India, you mentioned from Nigeria, a lot of from South Africa, Kentridge. If you've been living in Iraq and don't know who he is, he's probably South Africa's most renowned artist. So a lot of good stuff to look forward to. Just to wrap up, it's on the Wednesday, starts Wednesday the 26th of November till Sunday the 30th of November. You can find all your information on you said on the Center for Less Good Ideas website. And if you can't find that, just find them on the social media pages. I'm sure they'll be able to direct you through to that. And thanks for coming through, Dave, man. And I guess all the best for the awards on the 11th. And I hope the event is a success, man. On the 26th.
Thank you, Wesley. It's always great to chat, and thanks for everything you keep doing for the artistic community here in Joburg and South Africa. Appreciate it.
I appreciate that too, my brother. Enjoy the rest of your day, man. I will publish this episode probably in next week, and I will let you know by text when it's alive. And like I tell my guests, I chop it up into shorts, the shortened video, like I mentioned earlier on. I think that's very effective. I usually wait a week to give the longer format some legs, and then sort of just reactivate everything a week later. But I'll keep you up to speed with I'll keep you up to speed with all of that. So take care, man, brother. Enjoy your day. And thanks for coming through.
Thanks, brother. Have a good one.
You too, my brother. Sure. Cheers, man. Bye.